Success. We chase it, we sacrifice for it, and then one day, it stops working. What is success? What is that definition? And is that definition right? Or is it wrong? Or is it just outdated? Hi everyone, I'm AJ Jones, host of Code 3, Life Reinvented, and I'm grateful you're here. Thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your day to check in, to hear what I have to say. I will be speaking with you, just myself, no guests today in this solo episode. And today, I want to invite you into this conversation about reclaiming a version of success that actually aligns with who you are now. How about that? Does that sound pretty good? So I'll tell a little story about myself. My mind, coming through college and into the professional world, getting my MBA, I definitely had a definition of success. My definition of success was that I'd make a big name for myself. I'd make a lot of money. I would launch a company that would become very well known. That was my definition of success. And I tried to achieve those things, even though, ironically, I ended up in a career that I tried a few times to break free from, but it always pulled me back in, and that is financial services, very specifically asset management and wealth management. It paid really well. There were golden handcuffs, but I reminded myself everything's okay when I looked at my paycheck, at my bonuses, and the stock option grants that came in every year around bonus time. But let's face it, there was a lot of pressure. Got to show up every day, ready to deliver, as do many of you who are listening to this. I get it. On paper, on an org chart, I'd like to think I had good success. Was I ever on the cover of Fortune or Forbes, comparable outlets, as the titan of industry? No, that was never really what I was gunning for. I wanted to have my own company. But my definition of success was to make money, eventually have my own company, have my family not want for anything, have maybe a chance to create some intergenerational wealth, and so forth. The more I stayed in my career, I realized some of those markers of success that I had laid out for myself weren't really yours anymore. The more I came into myself and came in through my 20s and my 30s and into my 40s, I started to wonder, is this it? Is this what I'm here to do? But I didn't have time to really think about it because I was so busy striving to be a good little high achiever, if you will. But I tell you something, and I'm a bit of a broken record on this, but it's so true. Nothing forces honesty on anyone, especially me, yours truly, like a brush with mortality. My case, first brush came in October of 2016, and that shook me scared straight. What on earth am I here to do after my first widowmaker heart attack? What is the playbook? What is my move? Do I go back to my old world, which, by the way, included 3 hours of commuting every day? That is no joke. It's about right, 3 hours. And is that what I want to sign up for and go back to the financial district every day, into an office, get in the elevator, head to my specific office where it was beige themed walls and floors, and go to work? Is that the deal? Everything changed. Everything. I mean, everything after that first heart attack. And when I realized that, and I asked the universe for guidance, like, what do I do? Do I go back to that old world? Do I do something else? Do I become a stay-at-home dad? Do I become a teacher and give back to the greater good in some capacity? The more I asked the universe these questions, meanwhile, questioning where I had come from most immediately, right? And I realized that a lot of the markers of success and the success that I was driving towards didn't feel like mine anymore. Like everything had changed. And I got to be honest, like success almost killed me. And I was forced to redefine everything. And I told my wife, Liz, back in that time frame, that everything is on the table to be discussed, except for relationships, our good friends. But beyond that, where we live, where we work, how we engage with life, as far as I was concerned, was up for discussion and reevaluation. But I will tell you, do not under any circumstances allow your success to kill you in the literal sense or in the figurative sense. It's just not worth it. And high achievers get trapped in yesterday's definition, right? So what is that definition? We've got these markers of success: getting the nice job title, the expanded remit and scope of responsibilities, a large team, a global head of blank is your role. You have a nice house, your kids go to private schools, you have wonderful cars, European or Japanese cars in the driveway or whatever. You take beautiful vacations to places that are like postcards to most people. But it becomes a bit of a script, right? When you really boil it down, who told you that was the way it had to be? It was written by, I guess, this definition of success was written by culture. The inputs we see, what's projected on the screens that we consume every day or in magazines or wherever, on podcasts and so forth. And we feel like, well, these people must be successful. Look what they have. So that must be success for me. It's okay. That's a cultural input. Our families might have had something to say about it. Our parents might have told you, oh, you're not going to amount to anything if you don't get X, Y, and Z in your life. Whew, what pressure. And the industry you've been in might have shown you what success looked like. Like, hey, you want to be considered a top dog in this sector, in this industry, whatever, you have to do this or look like this and have this sort of resume. And when you were playing by those sets of rules, you were getting rewarded by the wrong things. You were rewarded by productivity, compliance to the norms, and overall performance, the bottom line performance. What have you done for me lately? And that makes me laugh because I remember my financial services corporate America days. You could be humming along, hitting all the things, but if you had one little hiccup, that was the thing that was focused on in your performance review. Not all the great things you accomplished, but it was like memories are fleeting. They just look at your last thing and drill you on it, for better or for worse. And there were the golden handcuffs, right? When we think about this old definition of success, the golden handcuffs are a real thing. And by the way, they leave bruises, people. The money, the status, and the expectations that go with it as you continue to grow in those things and with your wealth and with the status, your professional status, and how you are perceived in your given industry or culture, what have you. Heavy duty expectations to live up to that. Well, what if you don't want to anymore? What if that isn't you? And this is how our mind has been trained, right? Like how we used to be is still running the show. If you have, this is not wrong. If you have gone in a different direction or you are feeling something totally different than what this old success used to be, it's okay. In fact, this is the moment to stop and tune into that feeling. Like, this doesn't make any more sense to me. In fact, there was an old story, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I do love it. Little boy sat down on a park bench next to Mr. Rockefeller, and he looked up at this icon and sign of industry and said, "Mr. Rockefeller, how much is the right amount of money to make?" And Mr. Rockefeller looked down at the boy and said in a very calm voice, "Just a little bit more, son. Just a little bit more." It seems like so true. Like it's all, at least the way I thought of things is like, if I just make a little bit more money, then that's the right amount. But then it's this never ending chase of just a little bit more. And it just can drive you mental. And that mental, I say that flippantly, but truly, there's a huge cost by living through or by an outdated definition of success. Because what happens when you do that? And that outdated is outdated to you, right? And what happens? Well, do you feel burned out? God, I've got to keep up with this person or keep up with these expectations of a role, and I'm not feeling it anymore. That's not where I want to play. That's not my sandbox. Numbness. You might just feel numb, like, I don't care. It's going well, but I don't really get excited. I don't get jazzed about what I'm doing. I go home and just find ways to block it out, whether that's with alcohol or whatever. I don't know. But there's just this element of feeling numb and not feeling alive. You get the quiet dread on Sunday nights. Oh, the worst. The Monday blues, the Sunday scaries, however you want to say it, but it is awful. Been there, done that. Awful. And you just feel this slow disconnection pulling away from your purpose. What you feel makes you you and lights you up. And so what happens is you're an overachiever who's underfulfilled, right? I'll say it again. You're an overachiever who's underfulfilled. So while everything looks good on paper, you might be feeling off and wondering, how can I be feeling off when everything is good? I have this great title. My team is a great team. They're performing well. My management team is happy with what I'm doing, whatever. I don't feel right. And it's aching at my soul and it's becoming a problem. I don't know what to do about it. And there's a price for this. It's a human price and it can be a health crisis. And that is what I'm truly hoping that I can help people avoid. So I want to talk more now and pivot to authentic success, because this is, I hope, will be the new way we can start thinking about things. And this is like the meat and the guts of this conversation today, right? So my definition of authentic success, right? Authentic success is when who you are, what you're doing, and what you value are all in alignment. It's success that doesn't require you to abandon yourself, right? Do you feel like you are stepping away from yourself and getting further and further from who you truly are as an individual for this role, for this career that you have that's causing you an ache and pain and burnout and disconnection and so forth? It's success, again, authentic success when done right feels like momentum, feels like peace, you feel a burst of new energy in your soul and in your body, and you feel tied to something that's meaningful to you. It's success defined from the inside out, not handed down from the outside in, right? We talked about that earlier. We talked about, well, does that old definition of success come from culture, from your family, your parents or grandparents, or whatever, from the industry and the peers and or the mentors and managers that you have in your industry? And it can be scary to step away, take a pause, tune in, and say, hey, that version of success does not feel like what I want success to feel like to me now. Authentic success equals clarity, alignment, and impact. It's personal, not performative. It's chosen by you, not inherited from someone else. And it's expressed, not tolerated. Like right now, are you tolerating these pressures of success that are on you? Maybe. And if so, how is it making you feel? Do you have to numb yourself to get through the day, the week, and so forth? And, a lot of what I'm building through my company more, it's really aiming to serve people, accomplished professionals in their 40s and 50s and beyond. And redefining success after 40 can be a real competitive advantage, because at this point in life, you finally know yourself. Like when you were in your 20s and 30s, you probably had a different definition of success, and you were harder charging, and you hadn't gotten to really grow into yourself and understand what's important and not important in your life. The negotiables, the non-negotiables that you have to honor and cherish and live by. You've lived enough at this point to spot bullshit. You can smell it being bullshit a mile away. And you're like, you know what? I don't need any of that crap. You've built skills, you've got a great network, you have resilience. You're no longer motivated by proving yourself because you've proven what you needed to prove. and you care way more about meaning and alignment with yourself than impressions for others. And you can build from the wisdom that you now have and not fear of getting it wrong. So I want to not use this term, but I'm going to use it, which is like, AJ, what are you talking about? It's not a midlife crisis that you might be feeling if you think that that's what's happening, but it could be a midlife clarifier. Like, you know what? I need to clarify things. I need to redefine success, and I like to call it authentic success. Let me give you some takeaways, things to think about. Like, what are 5 questions to help you redefine authentic success? All right, I want to give you some actionable ideas. They are, what does enough look like to me now? I will tell you, just to answer this question from my perspective, quite honestly, after my second heart attack, I started to ask this question very, very critically of myself. And I put it in the context of what do I want versus what do I really need? And it was enlightening. And I think I was definitely in a headspace to really let go of things that I would have otherwise held on to tightly. I realized that what I need is not a ton of things. It's relationships. It's joy in life. But what does enough look like? A lot of things I want, but do I really need them? And that was a very, very important conversation I had with myself that helped me on my own journey. Here's the second question. What am I no longer willing to trade my life for? Because you've got one lap around the track of life with no known finish line. The finish line will come when it's time. So what are you willing to trade that lap for? Third question. What energizes you consistently? What energizes you consistently? What lights you up? Listen to that. Write it down. Make sure you document it and don't brush it off. Understand, why does this thing, this activity, this environment energize me consistently? There's something going on there that's really important that you need to listen to. What values, this is number 4 out of 5, what values do I refuse to compromise anymore? These are my non-negotiables. These values are what I stand for, what I believe in, what I will fight for. And I do not want to compromise them anymore. I realize that I have been, and that game is over. And the final question is, ask yourself, who am I becoming, and what does that version of me want? I'll bet you it's very different than the version of you 20 years ago and what he or she wanted then. So think about these 5 questions I've just asked and what comes up for you, and really, truly listen to that. Because if you are interested in making some really good, productive shifts in your life, and you want to get true to yourself and stop chasing other people's definitions and their markers of success, this episode hopefully will be for you, a chance to tune in and get a crisp understanding of what success is to you authentically and how you're going to honor that. And not worry about everybody else and what they're doing. They're chasing their own versions of success. That's just fine for them. But you have to do it for yourself. And when you do this, it changes everything. Truly. You will make, once you've got this down and you really understand what authentic success is versus the old version of success that you were trying to live up to or guide yourself towards, you will make different career decisions. I'm thinking you will. I might even bet on it. But I think you're going to find yourself making different career decisions because you're going to realize, what does success look like? And authentic success doesn't have to be generally career related, right? This could be about time spent with your family, time spent doing what lights you up on your free time, and so forth. You might have different relationships. You might realize, why am I holding on to this relationship and this toxic to me, but I need to hold on to it because it's going to help me professionally. Like, I realize, what do I care about in my profession? And when I get into authentic success, maybe you can just cut that relationship loose. You might find yourself on a different pace, and maybe you'll slow down. Maybe you'll speed up because you'll be more energized into where you're going. But I'll bet you your pace shifts. You will absolutely have different boundaries, because now that I know, or you know, what authentic success is, your boundaries ought to shift, and honor them. I believe you'll have a deeper sense of peace and purpose And the fun part is, and this might be my favorite, there's less proving and more becoming. I just love that concept, right? I'm done proving myself to whatever person or entity or stature that I think I need to prove myself for. I just want to become who I want to be and do it in a way that's authentic to me. This is how I'm going to define success from here on forward, and becoming that person. And I think there's a really wonderful payoff there. So I say all this because redefining authentic success is a key pillar within the MORE methodology. Now, the methodology is centered around authenticity and driving towards that authentic truth as much as we can say we know about ourselves authentically. And you find that alignment with that self. And so if your old definition of success is no longer cutting it, this is exactly the work we do inside MORE. And I will say that MORE has changed a little bit. I talked about this on another episode. We have moved from a career wellness platform to aligned reinvention platform. And the new URL is bemorealigned.com. bemorealigned.com. Check it out and see if we can help you. I'd love to see if we can find a way. But I invite you to reclaim that definition of success and do it. If you come to MORE, you can do it with a community of other high achievers who are doing the same thing, who realize, you know what I was doing, this ain't it. And I'm ready for something else. I'm going to do it very intentionally with purpose, with a level of everything that you've been doing before, a level of discernment and focus and intentionality that you've done other things before. So I'd really encourage you to join us at bemorealigned.com, or at least visit us and see if you want to join. Grab our tools, drop into our workshops, start meeting people who are in this community and building a version of success you don't have to recover from or suffer potentially very bad medical crises from. Anyways, thanks for listening to my quote unquote TED Talk here. I really feel passionate about this topic. Getting really honest with ourselves and what we do. I call it radical honesty. And once you've gotten radically honest with yourself about what you really want and what you stand for and what you believe and what your core values are, then you can start laying down the foundation for your definition of authentic success. I'm AJ Jones. And remember, life doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It waits for the brave one. Go redefine what's possible and live the success that feels like you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to speaking with you again soon.